Our purpose statement. Our purpose is to create a spiritual community which recognizes that there is one presence and one power in the universe, God. Daily, we actively practice this spiritual truth. We open our heart space to each person to acknowledge one another as expressions of God. It is in each other that we see God.
May our hearts be open. 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 May our hearts be open.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the celebration today, Open Heart Spiritual Center celebration. I'd also like to say Happy Father's Day. And I'd like to just know that we are all here present, and let's just let go of anything that has come before this time so that we can be present here in this moment. I know that oftentimes we get busy and allow that monkey mind, we call it, to run on, but let's just allow that to set aside for now, for this next little bit, and center ourselves and be present. Let's just take a breath. Breathing in this breath and releasing this breath and releasing all that has come before this time. Allowing ourselves today is a new day. This is a new celebration. We're celebrating fathers on this day, as well as we're celebrating one another, because every day is a new day and it's time for celebration. It doesn't have to be any special occasion to celebrate. Let's just celebrate breath and celebrate life, and allow ourselves to just remember that there's one mind that is within each and every single one of us, that is in all things here on this planet, and knowing that that one mind is that intelligence and that wisdom and that divine perfection that is in each one of us, and just allowing ourselves to be open and receptive today to receive the message. And I just give thanks for everyone that has a part in today's service, for the affirmative reading and the centering moment and for the song. Oftentimes we hear the music, but we don't allow ourselves to feel it. Today I invite you to feel the music. For I know that as Maeve plays the piano so beautifully, the passion that pours and exudes from her as she plays. Allow yourself to feel that. And there's a message in the music. And for the messenger, opening up and allowing the conduit of the divine energy and divine source of God, Spirit, Allah, Buddha, whomever you call. It doesn't care about a name. It only cares that you call and listen and allow it to just pour itself into you. And so as we just are here and now, present wherever we are, and knowing that we might not be with someone where we are, or we might have a mate, or even watching with our family, but knowing that we're all watching together, because we are Open Heart Spiritual Center family. And I just give thanks for this day. I release this knowing into the law that it's already done, and let the celebration begin. And so it is.
comes from the heart reaches the heart. Good morning and welcome to our Heartstream for this Sunday, June the 18th, 2023. I want to first start off by saying Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers. And whether you are a biological father or not, or you have played the role of father in someone's life, you have nurtured and guided and done all of those things, I want to wish you a very, very special and a very happy Father's Day. I want to give a special Father's Day greeting to my own father, Bishop Marshall Gilmore. I love you, Daddy, and all the ways in which you have shown me what it means to be a father and all of the love that you have provided for me and our family and so much of your extended family, because there's so many people that call you Daddy over the years. I also want to acknowledge my son, Kenneth Barnes, who I'm very proud of, who has grown into a wonderful father himself and all that he does. And it's just a delight to see him doing those things. And so many others that I'm not going to start calling names because I know how that can be. I also want to acknowledge today that for some people, Father's Day represents difficulty for many, many different reasons. Whether it's people who had an estranged relationship with fathers, their fathers were absent, or they now are grieving their fathers who have transitioned or who wish to be fathers, or so many other things that are a part of this. And I know that that is all that makes this day difficult for some. And continuing, as I always say, I continue to hold you in prayer, to hold the space for you, and to know that as well. Also, I want to say, acknowledge that this is the weekend for Juneteenth. This is a holiday that has become recognized in the United States. Many people talking about it being Freedom Day, the history behind that, when the enslaved people in the Galveston area in Texas finally, after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, got the word that they were now free, and the thing that was celebrated. We know that there is a lot more that remains to be done for real and true freedom in this country, but acknowledging this day and how it is another milestone and beacon in the road to full equality, full equity, full freedom. Thank you, each and every one of you for all that you do. A reminder that on next Sunday, the Reverend Jeff Radcliffe will be our speaker, a very special guest. He's a divine science minister, and looking forward to Jeff and his words of wisdom. And as always, I greet you, I bless you, I see God in you.
Our affirmation for the month of June: living the integrated life. Every day, in every way, I bring to each situation in my life the complete essence of God. I am one with the body of the physical world, one with the creative law of the universe in the mental world, and one with the Spirit of God in the conscious world. So, I am living on 3 planes: spirit, mind, body, and all is well. Just have a happy day. Today is a day like no other day. Just think and you'll know that it's true. Days like today should be holidays. So I'm singing this message to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day.
Tell me, what's going on with Open Heart? Well,
The power of encouragement. Jane Thompson stood in front of her fifth grade class on the very first day of school in the fall and told the children a lie. Like most teachers, she looked at her pupils and said that she loved all of them the same, that she would treat them all alike. And that was impossible because there in front of her, slumped in his seat on the third row, was a little boy named Teddy Stoddard. Miss Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with the other children, that his clothes were unkempt, and that he constantly needed a bath. And Teddy was unpleasant. It got to the point during the first few months that she would actually take delight in marking his paper with a broad red pen, making bold X's, and then marking the F at the top of the paper, biggest of all. Because Teddy was a sullen little boy, no one else seemed to enjoy him either. At the school where Miss Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's record, and she put Teddy's off until last. When she opened his file, she was in for a surprise. His first grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is a bright, inquisitive young man with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and has good manners and is a joy to be around." His second grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he is troubled because his mother has a terminal illness and life at home must be a struggle." His third grade teacher wrote, "Teddy continues to work hard, but his mother's death has been hard on him. He tried to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him if some steps aren't taken." Teddy's fourth grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is withdrawn and doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends and sometimes sleeps in class. He is tardy and could become a problem." Now Miss Thompson realized the problem, but Christmas was coming fast. It was all she could do, with the school play and all, until the day before the holidays began, and she was suddenly forced to focus on Teddy Stoddard. Her children brought presents, all in beautiful ribbons and bright paper, except Teddy's. which was clumsily wrapped in a heavy brown bag of scissors, brown paper of a scissor grocery bag. Miss Thompson took pain to open it in the middle of the other students. Some of the children started to laugh when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing and a bottle with 1/4 full of cologne. She stifled the children's laughter when she exclaimed how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume behind the other wrist. Teddy Stoddard stayed behind just long enough to say, "Miss Thompson, today you smell just like my mother used to." After the children left, she cried for at least an hour. On that very day, she quit teaching reading, writing, and speaking. Instead, she began to teach children. Jean Thompson paid particular attention to one little boy they called Teddy. As she worked with him, his mind seemed to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. On days there would be an important test, Miss Thompson would remember that cologne. By the end of the year, he had become one of the smartest children in the class, and well, he had also become the pet of the teacher who had once vowed to love all her children exactly the same. A year later, she found a note under her door from Teddy, telling her of all the teachers he had had in elementary school, she was his favorite. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy. He then wrote that he had finished high school, third in his class, and she was still his favorite teacher of all time. 4 years after that, he got another letter saying that while things had been tough at times, he stayed in school, had stuck with it, and would graduate from college with the highest of honors. He assured Miss Thompson she was still his favorite teacher. Then 4 more years passed, and yet another letter came. This time he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he decided to go a little further. The letter explained that she was still his favorite teacher, but that now his name was a little longer. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, M.D. The story doesn't end there. You see, while yet there was another letter that spring. Teddy said he met this girl and was to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple of years ago, and he was wondering if Miss Thompson might agree to sit in the pew usually reserved for the mother of the groom. And on that special day, Jean Thompson wore that bracelet, the one with the rhinestone missing. And on that special day, Jean Thompson smelled the way Teddy remembered his mother smelling on their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Dr. Stoddard whispered to Miss Thompson's ear, "Thank you, Miss Thompson, for believing in me. Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Mrs. Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whipped us back. She said, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one that taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you." The moral of the story, you can never tell what type of impact that you may have on another's life by your action or lack of action.
Tell me, what's going on with Open Heart? Well, let's watch and see. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We continue to hold you in the highest regard. We extend our love, our peace, and blessings to each and every one of you. Special shout out to my father, Bishop Marshall Gilmore. Thank you, Daddy. I love you. We know that all of the fathers, whether you are a biological father or you have played that role in someone else's life, we greet you, we love you, we thank you for all that you have done. You know that also today can be a difficult day for many people. There are many reasons. People have lost their dad. They've never known their dad. They have a difficult relationship. They've lost a child. They're longing to be a dad. Their dad is unwell, and many other reasons. We hold the space for you and hold you in prayer and continue to know that you are indeed loved. We also are in June, the weekend for Juneteenth, and we are celebrating this Freedom Day, knowing the history behind Juneteenth, that when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, the people in the Texas area were not informed, and it was when the word reached Galveston and the enslaved people there found out and they celebrated, and this is commemorating that. Remembering Martin Luther King Jr. saying, if the cruelties of slavery could not stop us, the opposition we now face will surely fail. Because the goal of America is freedom, abused and scorned though we may be, our destiny is tied up with America's destiny. Juneteenth, Freedom Day. June is also Pride Month, and we unhesitatingly and wholeheartedly support our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, non-binary, and queer friends, their rights, their marriages, their pursuit of happiness, and their breath. This is also true July through May. From the very beginning, Open Heart has been intentional about being an inclusive community. We're not new to this, we're true to this. On Sunday, June the 25th, next Sunday, Divine Science Minister, the Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, will be our speaker. We're looking forward to Jeff's wisdom and his words of guidance for us on next week. And we appreciate your gifts and ways to give. Our Cash App, $ OHSC901, online at ohsc901.com, or text the word give to 615-422-4292. We believe in the power of affirmative prayer, and all of the families and individuals you see here, we hold this space for you. We continue to know truth for you, the truth of who you are, to see you healed, to see you whole, to see you encouraged, strengthened, and comforted. And we know that all is well and all continues to unfold for you in the most perfect manner. May peace and God's abiding presence continue to be with each and every one of you. Start your day or continue your day with our daily affirmative prayer call at 8 a.m. Central Time, 901-586-8755. One of our prayer team members will lead us in prayer for about 7 minutes. We welcome you to be a part of this movement, this daily movement in prayer.
Wish the day would come when we all are one, living in this land, walking hand in hand. Wouldn't that be great if we could all live together, deep within our hearts? That's the place to start. There we can erase all the pleas of hate. Wouldn't that be great if we could all learn to live and all learn to give and have tenderness? There will be joy on every face, joy will appear. I wish the day were here, we'd be together, all together now. Let us make a vow and have tenderness. There will be joy on every face. Joy will appear. I wish that they were here. We be together, all together now. Let us make a vow from this very day, and we must pray. That's the only way that we can all learn to live, to all live together. Why can't we all live together? Alright, alright. Why can't we all live together? We've got to all live together. Hey, hey, hey. Why can't we all live together? Yeah. Alright, alright. All live together. We got to learn to live together. All live together. Oh yeah. We've got to all live together. Alright, alright. Why can't we all live together? We've got to all live together. Alright. We got to learn to live together. All right.
All right.
It's not this hard.
A DIY life, a do-it-yourself life. You all know the song. We do it every Sunday at the end of our Heartstream. And if you came to Open Heart, you know we did it at the end of our celebration. You know the words. The words, you could probably say them or sing them with me. There was a time in my life I used to think I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know that the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know that the love of God was at hand. Now I can say, if you're discouraged, struggling to make it through another day, you've got to let go. Let it all go. This is what you have to say. And we know the rest of the song. But a part of that song, the very beginning, comes to me when I think about the term or the concept of a do-it-yourself life. The time when we think that we have to do things all for ourselves. We have to go on the road alone. We feel as if we are alone. And when we talk about living an integrated life, as I've been discussing this month, and our theme is about, when I've been sharing insights from that, the opportunity for us to recognize and to realize that we never have to go it alone, that our lives are lives that are endowed with spirit. And as we allow spirit to operate in our lives, then we are not struggling on our own. But so often we get caught up in thinking that we're by ourselves. We get caught up thinking that we have to do things all on our own. I think about the Apostle Paul, who wrote in about life in the flesh versus life in the spirit. And so how often that has been misinterpreted to think about things of a sexual or carnal nature. But ultimately, the understanding of life in the flesh is trying to do things on your own versus life in the spirit, which is about doing things with the help of and with the guidance of and with the direction of God. That is what it is that we are talking about. And it's important for us to understand today and to remember, because I know that when I first began Open Heart and we talked about things in relationship to us being an expression of God, and I would say that you are God, and we know that the master teacher Jesus one day said, do you know that you are God's? But there were people who had a real time and a real struggle with that, and how I would try to help explain it to them is that if we look at the nature of the universe and we look at the idea of God and all of that, we understand God being the creative force in the universe being that creative force, that dynamic force that gives life to worlds, that gives life in so many other different ways, and all of that. It creates on the macro level. But we have the opportunity and the ability to do creation on the micro level. In other words, just as we know how the universe, we see that being created by the operation of spirit, the operation of God. And I'm going to move into this idea about the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh, and it dwelt among us. The creative process on the macro level. In Genesis, that understanding there that God spoke and there was. And the idea there that in our lives we create on the micro level, our own creation, our own world, our own universe, the things that we experience, the things that are a part of who we are, come as a result of our speaking our word, whether it's our word that we speak out loud or what it is that we say to ourselves, has a creative aspect in our lives. And when we are not aware and conscious of that, then we find ourselves struggling. We find ourselves in a space and place where we are worried about things. We're worried about finances. We're worried about our relationships. We're worried about the general direction of our lives. We're worried about our health. So many other things that we are struggling about, not recognizing that there is available to us help, that there is available to us things that can provide for us the ways in which we can live. And when we begin to understand this and when we embody this in our lives, and that's an important thing, we have to embody the presence of God in all that we do. We get stuck again, and we want to operate as if we are operating independently from what is happening there. But ultimately, as we take on the opportunities each day to acknowledge the presence of God in our lives, as we take the opportunity in every way to understand that it always is abiding with us, it is never abandoning us, but it's always there. I know that often I've read something that talked about this. If you think that you are alone and that God is abandoned, you ask yourself who it was that walked away. We can never walk away from God, and we can never ruin the relationship with God. So often I will hear people talk about God ruining the relationship with them. A woman that I knew who was going on and on and on about the fact that she needed me to pray for her because God didn't answer her prayers because she had done some things that she was ashamed of, and she knew that God would reject any of her prayers. And I kept trying to remind her that you are a beloved creation and aspect of God, and God never, never, never forsakes creation, never forsakes the things that have been generated and made in this process, and just how very important that it is. We have to understand and to continue to practice in our daily life the presence of God. The daily life, the presence of God. The story was told when we talk about practicing the presence of God of the monk who was in the monastery, and he got assigned the job of washing dishes. And while the other monks were praying and meditating, all of that, and he was at first frustrated and discouraged, but he found that over time, when he became present, when he became focused in the now, when he used the opportunity that even in what he was doing, a task that was a menial task in one way and that seemed insignificant in one way, that as he put his mind to it, as it became mindful and allowed himself to be open and available to the expression of God, he found God there. Just how important that is. And when I talk about the fact of God being present in our lives, of God being with us and providing for us, I think about the story, the movie, The Lion King. And if you're not familiar with the story, we know that there was Simba, the baby cub, and Mufasa, who was his father, who was the king of the jungle. And when Simba was born, they held him up and presented him to the kingdom and all of that. But Simba was impetuous, and he wanted to do things on his own. Sound familiar? He wanted to do things on his own. And one day he went out where his father forbade him to go. But he went anyway with his companion Nala, and they went out and they found themselves surrounded by three hyenas who had nothing but ill intent for them. They were ready to do away with them. And so he stood his ground though, and as that cub, he started to try and roar as loud as he could, and the hyenas laughed at him because that roar was really more like a purr. It wasn't much, it didn't amount to much. He was a small cub, but he did what it was that he could. And then all of a sudden, he opened his mouth again, and there was this big roar that came out, and the hyenas cowered in fear. And then when Simba turned around, he saw that it was his father Mufasa behind him, and he was there with him. And then after that, they had a conversation, and Simba said, "Dad, I was really scared, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And what about those times when you're not there?" And and Mufasa reminded him that number one, the ancestor lions, the ones that went before me, are always watching over us and are always with us. And one day when I become an ancestor, I will always be with you. And that is the thing that is important for us to understand, that God is always with us and always guiding us. And we don't have to do things on our own. I think about on this Father's Day, I've talked about my own father, and I can remember a time, that time when I was excited because he and I had been having this conversation, and this day was the big day. It was the day I was going to take the training wheels off of my bike, and I was excited about it. And behind our house was an alley that we did a lot of things, and we rode our bikes and we sledded and all of that. But this was my first time that I was going to attempt to ride my bike without training wheels. And I can remember getting on the bike, and I can remember my father standing beside me and giving me words of reassurance and telling me that I could do it, and saying that he was going to be with me. And I can remember taking off, and I started pedaling. And as I was pedaling, my father was running alongside the bike. And then I can remember going forward and moving, and I was excited and thrilled. I could feel the wind just, blowing on my face and all of that. And then I was just so excited that I was pedaling. And then I started talking to my father, and then I noticed that he wasn't responding. And then I turned slightly and noticed that he was standing way back down the alley, and I was pedaling by myself. I was actually riding the bike for myself. But then in that moment, fear overtook me and worry overtook me, and the fact that I was doing this and I wasn't confident enough in myself in that moment. And so suddenly I started to get wobbly, unsure, and uncertain, and the bike went over into the bushes. Now, I can recall later us having a conversation and me saying, "Well, I rode the bike for the first time without training wheels, but I'm worried about trying to do it again without your help." And he reassured me that even though he might not be running along beside me, he was with me and he was pulling for me. And that's the thing that we have to understand in life, that in whatever it is that we do, whatever situation or circumstance we find ourselves in, no matter what it is that we might face, the universe, God, spirit, the one mind, the one presence, however it is we term it, is always with us and always guiding us, always directing us. And we already know the key to making all of that happen, because as I started out, there was a time in my life where I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know that the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know that the love of God was at hand. Now, all I can say, if you're discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let go. That's what you do. Let go. And this is what you have to say: I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide, because I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more DIY, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free. I am free. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Peace and blessings. And so it is.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all by myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling to make it through another day, you got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Oh, I'm free. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open. Only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. No more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. There's a song in my heart, praising God with all my might. There's a rhythm and a rhyme inside my soul, revealing spirits, guiding light. And I know, yes, I know that it's God. There is something here that I just can't shake. It's invading my life, you see. Makes me go for higher ground and pulling me to really be. And I know, yes, I know that it's God. No, I won't deny this voice inside. This voice keeps calling me, even when I try to run and hide. This voice won't let me be, so I turn and listen deep within. And oh, God's work I must begin, for I know, yes, I know that it's God. So I say to myself, can this really be? Is this still small voice the way the Spirit speaks to me? Touching me when I'm quiet, touching me when I'm alone, opening me as I surrender to the way that's being shown. And the song in my heart fills my life with so much love. For I know that it's God. No, I won't deny this voice inside. This voice keeps calling me, even when I try to run and hide. This voice won't let me be, so I turn and listen deep within. And oh, God's work I must begin, for I know, yes, I know that it's God. For I know, yes, I know that it's God.